Good afternoon, and I welcome you to the studios of Poly TV in Laro. It's time once again for our usual, the newspaper review and analysis. My name is Femi Afolabi. I am being joined in the studio by Mr. Deji Adeyemi, the veteran journalist, the encyclopedia of our time, and of course, he's a publisher. Mr. Adeyemi, you're welcome.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
You're welcome once again. The newspaper publications today, they have one story that is synonymous to all of them. We're talking about the U.S. action, the U.S. Congress action on supposedly some power blocks in Nigeria and, of course, some groups. I want to take a look at the headlines of the papers in quick succession before we focus on a particular one. The Daily Trust on its front page says, U.S. terror tag on Kwankwaso Fulani groups draw scrutiny. And Vanguard in its front page says, U.S. reps propose visa ban on Kwankwaso Miyetti others. And the Nation writes that alleged religious violation, Kwankwaso faces U.S. sanction. And the Tribune writes that alleged religious freedom violation, U.S. lawmakers move to sanction Kwankwaso, Miyetti and Fulani militias. We will now focus our discussion on the front page of the Tribune newspaper, which says, alleged religious freedom violation, U.S. lawmakers move to sanction Kwankwaso, Miyetti and Fulani militias. Mr. Adeyemi, for some time, Nigeria populace have been wondering why the government, as it were, has not been able to name and shame some people that Intel told us that they were backers and financiers of terrorists and banditries in Nigeria. But far away from the United States, they are taking the case of Nigeria very seriously, and the U.S. Congress is now saying some people will be sanctioned and denied visa, and of course their property abroad will be frozen. And they now mentioning Kwankwaso and Miyetti. Are you surprised?
Well, am I surprised? No, I'm not. Because all along there has been this concern about financiers and, of course, backers of terrorism. And don't forget that many years ago, even when President Jonathan was on the seat, he mentioned that he knew that there were some people who are part of the Boko Haram structure within his own cabinet. So actually, the backers and financiers of terrorism in Nigeria, they are not spirits. People know them. And of course, if we are not ready to, to work at it, then of course, countries like the United States are sticking up the gauntlet, and they are going. It's a pity. You see, when I learned of the fact that Kwankwaso, who I really count as one of the very vibrant and frontline politicians or leaders in Nigeria, is mentioned, then it's shocking. And I can tell you that the U.S. The congressman that is proposing this bill must have done his job very well. He really must have researched. In fact, some of them were here. They went to Benue State, they went to Katsina, they went to some other states there in the north. And so they had their facts in their hands. But of course, don't let's forget that APC and NNPP had already said that they are not going to flow with that kind of... It's not about condemning anybody now. There must be a thorough investigation into this. But of course, somebody actually must be back there sponsoring terrorism here in Nigeria. I mean, a brand new AK-47 cost about 3.5 million naira. And this is what is brandished by all these young people who are the foot soldiers. So it is indeed very sad, but all the same, let them come up with factual evidence of people who are sponsoring terrorism, and those who have been named should also come out to defend themselves. Then we can sift the chaff from the wheat.
I hope the decision of America on this will be all-encompassing, because if you are mentioning them in trickles, it might look as if it's a political persecution, because the list that was submitted to Nigeria by United Arab Emirates years back, it's very complex, very hard,
Yes,
different kind of names.
Of
course, nobody knows the extent to which the name has gone.
One of the charges meted out to Malami is the fact that he was given a list of terrorism financiers, and he didn't do anything. And this is the same Malami that a cache of arms were found in his house not too long ago. Then what are you doing with that kind of commodity in your pantry? So let's just pray. Actually, President Tinubu has declared an emergency on insecurity. I think, and I want him to walk the talk.
Okay, from that story, we move on to something more topical, at least to us in Nigeria again. We are talking about the coming 2027 elections and the electoral act that is becoming so controversial between the Senate, the National Assembly, and of course, average Nigerians. I'm going to the front page of Tribune newspaper, which says, Electoral Act, more groups kick over Senate's stance. After the adoption of e-transmission of results by Senate at the last emergency plenary session, we thought that would put to rest the controversy, but it's like some people, and of course Nigerians, are not really done with this issue. There are groups that are saying, no, don't make manual collation of the results a backup for e-transmission. That will even give room for INEC to trump up an excuse if faced with a minimal challenge of e-transmission.
Well, I think the Senate had just moved halfway. It is not there. You see, what people are talking about is that proviso that they put in it, I mean, it has already been asked that, it has already been there, that there will be mandatory transmission of results from the polling booth or polling unit to INEC server. Now, it is now being put in there that there is a proviso, which is about the fact that what happens in places where the network is bad or poor or whatever. You see, I will also attribute this to the distrust between us as Nigerians, between the leaders and the followers. There's a distrust. Look, because truly speaking, there may just be these technical glitches. The machines can malfunction, but it will be so minimal if we really want to look at it. It cannot be, at least where the machines would work, would be something in the region of 90% up. And then, of course, the remaining 5–10% could, if there is trust, because when the votes are counted, the votes has been cast and all the rest of, there is that Form E8, what's the thing? There's this form that will be that all the votes will be recorded, and that form is also meant to be transmitted.
Exactly.
So now, even that has not happened, but we are not trusting that some people are not going to, play pranks with whatever is being transmitted. So I think there's still the conference between the National Assembly, between the House of Reps and the Senate. Maybe they can sort themselves out. But generally speaking, following the trends, the Nigerians are not too happy. They just want a clear case of e-transmission.
Okay, Nigerians want clear case of e-transmission. And beyond that, we want clean, fair, and acceptable election. God willing, we will achieve it one day.
Okay.
Let's move to some of that story. From the front page of Vanguard newspaper, Senate demands full implementation of defense budget, warn against delays. Senate wants full implementation of defense budget, warns against delays. Do you suspect any foul play before Senate begin to warn that the budgetary provision for the defense ministry or defense sector should be fully implemented?
I don't suspect any foul play, but it has become part of us that when budgets are put in place, the implementation of the budget becomes a big deal. The Minister of Works was telling us that in 2025, only 10% or so of the budget meant for his ministry was actually 10% was actually as cash was actually released to him. How would he accomplish or carry out the plans he has put in the budget? So I would want to say that as part of the declaration of emergency on insecurity, the federal government or the presidency itself should make sure that money that are budgeted for the military to buy arms, for training and all these things are expedited such that they get to the places where they are needed in good time so that they can use it in the fight against terrorism, as it were. Because it is so it's so funny. Yes, we have an intention, but we are not working at making sure that these our intentions are carried out. So something must be quickly done to make sure that when plans are budgeted, monies are released accordingly, so that these things can move.
Still talking about budgetary provision or allocation and the actual release. The Minister of Transportation last week complained that only 1% of about 250-something billion naira budgeted for his ministry was released to him last year to operate. And as at August or September last year, Mr. President said Nigeria doesn't have the problem of cash to implement that year's budget. So nobody as at now know why budgetary provisions were not released when the president said we have enough money to do that.
Well, it's a pity. Maybe the civil service thing, because I don't know. Well, when monies are budgeted, I know that the issues of budgeting and monitoring of these things is not a small thing. It's not a joke. But in the meantime, it is just normal that when things are said to have been budgeted, it's for the benefit of the people. And if you want people to benefit from these programs and policies, then of course you back it up with the enablement that will make them will make the dividends of democracy reach the people.
I think that situation calls calls us to call on the Senate, of course, the National Assembly as a whole. What is their oversight function about? If they are not monitoring the actual release or to know how much each allocation released to certain agencies performed, or why they are not performed, why they are not released to them.
Yes, I guess so.
Well, let's move forward. We're going to another topical story on the front page of Vanguard newspaper. This is concerning NAFDAC. Federal government orders NAFDAC to halt sachet alcohol ban enforcement. That was what we had. But this morning, the agency is denying that report, that there was no time the federal government asked it to suspend its enforcement of the ban on such allocation. So we don't know who to believe now.
Well, in this era of preponderance of fake news and the rest of it, you never can tell. But I would rather align with the release by NAFDAC that they have not been stopped. But of course, they actually had this thing about banning the production of sachet alcohols. I think we just wait, or maybe if the federal government will come up with its own explanation about it. But of course, don't forget that not too long ago, maybe a week or two, there was this protest in Lagos over the ban.
Yeah.
It's a big industry.
It's a big industry, very big.
So it must be handled in a manner that people do not suffer, because there would be loss of employment, and not just in the factories, even the trade. Some people are trading this. There's logistics of transportation and all the rest of it. It can be moderated in a manner. I'm not saying that because some people have invested in this as business. So, and there's no there's no ban about who you want to invest in. Yeah, I mean, what thing you want to invest into. So let them just sit down and do the needful.
All right, another minor report on the front page of Vanguard newspaper says, I could be arrested anytime. That's an alert by El-Rufai saying he may be arrested anytime from now. A few days ago, he was saying that he wasn't an ally, a close ally of Mr. President, and he was talking about his participation in the pre-2023 election, that he did what he did to enable Mr. President be the president because it was a party thing. He belongs to APC, and he was officially responsible to campaigning for APC as a member. So he did what he did. He didn't do it because he was an ally of Mr. President.
This sounds to me a vote phase, a turnaround. No doubt that he was close to the president, Bola Tinubu, and to say that he wasn't at any time his close ally, he will need to tell us more about that, because I remember that even when the table was about to turn, at one point, he was the one who was in the forefront of rallying his northern governors to insist that the presidency must go to the south. And of course, in APC, the frontline candidate was, or even aspirant or whatever, was the president, Tinubu. So I don't know. Maybe he's playing opposition politics, whereby they will just have to say something that will draw down the administration in power. So I don't say, if his allies are arrested or they are called in for questioning, they must have done one thing or the other. Nobody is going to come and call me in for questioning here, because well, I try to keep my. So what about it? Nobody is. If he plays his game well, let him go to the polls, and let his party go to the polls, and if they can beat APC, all is well.
Well, like you mentioned, maybe Nigerians as of now do not know the reasons why he and Mr. President fell apart. Because I remember when the president was, when he was still the candidate, or even when he was declared president-elect.
Yes, yes.
I remember President Tinubu urging the Northern Elders Forum to impress on him, to compel him not to travel outside the country, because he wanted to go for postgraduate degree then. They said, the president said he should not go, and he still have much to contribute to the.
Yes, I remember that. It was a public affair at a public event, and
politicians, you can't trust them. They will find a melting point when
yes, it's all about interest anyway. Their interest parted ways.
Let's move forward. I still remain with the Vanguard newspaper. There's a minor report on the masthead. Dangote refinery hits 650,000 barrels per day capacity, and we read about 2-3 days ago that Dangote Group or Dangote Refinery has slashed the price of petroleum products. I think that is good for Nigerians.
Yes, indeed, it is good. It's now 770 something.
774.
And 74. Yes, that's the benefit of having to actually refine our own. I can't imagine if Dangote had not come in and the 3 refineries are not working. In fact, what would be the result would be just unpalatable to all of us, not just to the people in macroeconomics.
As a way of rounding up, there's this report on the front page of Guardian newspaper. It's alarming. North decries 2027 politics despite insecurity, 4,654 deaths in 2025. I think what the region is saying, people are playing up politics, they are preparing for 2027, while the region is suffering insecurity and death of innocent Nigerians there. So do you want to say anything about the situation of up north?
Yes, that's the primary base of insecurity, as it were. And I think, well, politics are already in the air anyway. 2027 is just around the corner.
A few months away.
So many groups are coming up, and so many endorsements are already being aired.
Even within the north.
Yes, even within the north. So what happens is that the northern leadership, by my own consideration, has left it too much late in the day, because this insecurity in the north, in 2025 alone, over 4,000 people were killed, and all the rest of it. And who were the ones killed? Some of the terrorists were being recruited within them. It's not as if some people actually came in because we have a porous border and the rest of it. But in the meantime, it is the grown-up Almajiris that they now give AK-47 to go and kill themselves, their kith and kin. So you see, if they had stood up to the right things way back, we probably wouldn't have this kind of problem that we have in our hands. It's a big problem. And we just keep praying that our collaboration with the U.S. pays off. because it's
Okay, let's keep our fingers crossed, and let's plead to politicians to play politics and to let governance be something that the majority of Nigerians will benefit from, not a selfish thing. I want to thank you sincerely for finding time to be here again.
Thank you
And
so much.
like I usually said, people need to, and always looking forward to learn from your wealth of experience.
Yeah. To God be the glory. Thank you.
Hallelujah. That is our program this afternoon. We'll be back with a fresh edition tomorrow. Good afternoon.